All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another Bow Disciples discussion video. Today, I have the pleasure of having the most famous hunter in San Diego County, Mr. Danny here, a longtime friend of mine from the biking days. And we actually got a little turkey hunt in this morning, and we saw a handful. Didn't quite come together, but it sure was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
We had those toms gobbling, but they weren't on a string.
That's right.
But so Danny, why don't you go ahead and tell us, obviously you are in a chair. Why don't you start with why you're in the chair and kind of how you got here?
Well, I'm in a chair because I have multiple sclerosis. I have a rare form of it. And it quickly took me from riding and racing and all that to in a chair. And
how quick did that happen?
I was diagnosed in 2009 legally. 2009 to 2011, I was in a chair full time.
Wow, that's crazy. So, how was that? I mean, like going from biking and being active to now you can't really be active. What was that like?
It wasn't that scary like people might think it might be. I think because I had time to get used to it. You know, little by little versus crashing on a bike and becoming paralyzed.
Like you kind of knew it was coming more so than just one day you crash and boom, you can't move. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Reagan making an appearance.
Hi, Reagan.
Here's Reagan. But no, that's crazy. So obviously, you know, I can relate being a biker that, you know, we're always active and wanting to do stuff. How long did it take to kind of find, obviously now you found archery. Was there other things you tried to get into that never really, like you didn't have a passion for? How long did it take to find archery?
Well,
and what drew you to it when you got there?
I tried, you know, downhill wheelchair riding. I tried wheelchair tennis, and surprisingly, the downhill wheelchair thing just didn't grab me like bicycles did.
Yeah.
And I was watching the Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Channel type stuff, and I was like, gosh, I would love to try archery. I had no idea if I could even draw a bow, let alone anything else. And yeah, it's where it started. I gave Bruce at Bow and Arrow Shop shot him an email, and he's like, get down here, we'll try this out.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started.
It's the best. I mean, you can't, again, I mean, the Bow and Arrow Shop's the best, you know, so I was really pumped when you started shooting. How did you find the bow shop? Or obviously you live in the area, did you just kind of know about it, or what brought you to the shop?
I knew there was a shop there, but I searched online to see, because I had no concept of archery in any way. Never had picked up a bow a day in my life. So he being close and reaching right back out to me instantly, it was like it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's amazing. So when you first got your first bow, how hard was it to draw? And didn't you tell me it was like 10 pounds at first or something like that?
Yeah, I actually started at 18 pounds.
18 pounds.
And the goal was to get to 25 pounds. And I'm shooting 42.
Wow.
And I think I can still increase that.
Wow. Yeah, and you draw it easy. I mean, I've seen you draw, and it's not like a struggle, and you look comfortable. So you're definitely not pulling more than you should be, you know, like you're comfortable, and you're right, you probably could work your way up to, you know, mid 40s maybe, or maybe more. How long did it take you, how gradual was that process of getting from 18 to 20 to 25? Was it pretty quick, or did it take a while?
It took about a year.
A year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe even almost a year and a half.
Wow.
It was just building that muscle memory, you know, and that strength.
And for you, I think a big key, I mean, you shoot a carbon bow. I think for you, having a lightweight bow is probably pretty important.
Yeah.
For this, that way your front arm holds, it's a little easier to hold. Have you, Is any part of archery that like wouldn't be tough for someone like me, tough for you? Like, is it hard ever to hook your release, or like any little things that like are knocking an arrow? Is that ever tricky?
It's
with your
learning.
hands?
It's really learning what I have to do.
Got it.
You know, for somebody like yourself, it's so second nature.
Right.
For me, I have to, you know, if depending on what chair I'm in, depends on how I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably like your mind muscle connection is there's just like a separation there, right?
Right.
Basically. So it's
Right.
like you're having to like learn how to adapt and do things that like doesn't connect with what your mind's just saying, okay, knock the arrow. But for you, it's like it's not that one-in-one connection. So I could see how that would be tricky.
And I use a
One of them hooks.
a hooked release,
Yeah.
a Fletcher release, because I can't operate the ones that clasp or you know, like
where you have to
crab
put them
claw.
on.
Yeah, I can't operate.
Huh. Got it. And then, so what I know you've done a handful of hunts, and last year was such a bummer because we went on, what was it? Yeah, we went on a fall turkey hunt, and then right after you had a problem with your neck or whatever, and we're out the game. So
Right.
today is your first time back. So you've been on what, 3 or 4 hunts?
Three hunts.
3 hunts.
Since I started hunting.
Got it. And what was that process like, or what's it like? First of all, like I always say that I enjoy hunting whether I see anything or not, or be successful or not. I just like to be outside, learning how to be better, and just enjoying the outdoors. Do you feel the same way when you're out there? You're just happy to be out regardless of what goes down?
Absolutely. Just the fact that I'm a hunter and can say I'm a hunter
Yeah.
is much further than I ever expected to be.
Wow.
And the fact that I just love being outdoors. I mean,
Wow.
just
That's awesome.
hearing God's creation is just incredible to me.
And today was so cool. I mean, we had those hens at whatever 10, 15 yards, and you got to hear so many different noises that a hen makes. That was awesome, you know. And yeah, we weren't successful, but we were, because we saw some turkeys and we had fun and we're outside, and it's awesome. And got to see some mallard ducks. Like, that's the cool part about being outside, is you just don't know what you're going to see. So it's like that unknown is very cool.
Absolutely.
I
And
think.
for the first time hearing turkeys live
Yeah.
and seeing them in their live setting rather than in cages
Yeah.
was so cool.
So cool. And man, we had those toms gobbling like crazy today, so that was pretty fun. Do you have like a main hunting or archery goal? Do you have like, your goal would be to get like a buck, or like maybe a bull elk, or like, do you have like a goal that you really would like to accomplish hunting?
Harvesting, eat anything really, but I would really like to get a mule deer, a buck obviously.
Would be cool, yeah.
That would be just that, experiencing everything that comes with that, from letting the arrow go to retrieving to learning how to be a part of the process.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. When you're shooting your bow, like I've talked about this before, like I have a couple things that are like crucial to me to shoot well. What are some of like your things when you're shooting that like maybe the 1 or 2 most important things for you to shoot accurately? Like for me, it's like my circle to circle peep to the front ring is like, as long as that's right, everything else kind of fits right in line. Do you have something like that that's like your one go-to check?
My check is first thing is anchor, you know, making sure I'm anchored where I'm supposed to be, and not pressing on the string with my face too hard. And then my level,
The level, okay.
because
Okay.
had a habit of torquing my bow so much. You know, you get that slap on the arm those
Yeah.
first 50 or 100 times you learn.
Yeah, and it's not too fun, huh? Not too
But
fun.
just getting those precise things so they become muscle memory.
And that way you're just doing the same thing over and
Right.
over. Yeah, so it's actually funny you say a level. A lot of people say level. I actually don't shoot with a level. I have one, but I don't use it. And I used to shoot with no level. But I think for me, I don't know why I can get away with that. I think it's just because I have a pretty good front hand positioning. So I think like if I do have a camber, it's like always consistent, you know. But yeah, that's great. I mean, I think a level is one of the best ways to at least know you're in line this way and probably this way too with that torque, like you said. Are you left-handed or do you just shoot left-handed?
I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, wow.
But because of my disability, I have to shoot left-handed.
That's what I was wondering. So you do have to shoot left.
Yes.
Why is that?
Right eye dominant.
Is your right arm weaker, or why is that?
I can't hold the bow with my left arm.
Okay. It's
so
too much weight.
If I start to draw, my arm just collapses.
Okay. Cool. And your right eye is dominant, so you're shooting with your undominant eye.
Which has a blind spot.
That's
dead
great.
center.
So do you shoot with your eye closed?
Yes.
One eye closed, one open?
Yes.
Got it. I think a lot of people shoot that. I always have both open, but I know that's what's cool is like everyone kind of shoots a little different, and that's why I love archery, just to like, it's so peaceful, you know. You go in the backyard and you go shoot, whether you're at your house or my house or at a shoot, and that's one thing. We got to get you somehow to a 3D shoot where you can.
I want to do one.
Even if you can't do all the targets, it would be cool if you could even just do half of them or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I think at Balboa you could probably do a good amount because they have roads and trails, and even maybe Henshaw. But yeah, when San Diego Mealy's does his next shoot, you'll have to come out and shoot whichever ones you can.
I absolutely. I just want to enjoy archery in every aspect of it that I can. You know.
For sure. And 3D shoots are such a game changer, especially for guys like us that are hunters. You know, it's a really good way. I mean, nothing's like hunting. You can't replicate the adrenaline and the movement and the live action. But at a 3D shoot, you can replicate, you know, shooting up, shooting down, shooting across a hill, shooting across a little canyon, like, and the animal size. Like, you can replicate that. So I always say it's a lot easier for me to go out in the yard and shoot dots at 60 yards in some ways than it is to shoot a 3D target, because there's no dot to hold on, you know. So that, I've always loved 3D, and I know you would get a kick out of it for sure.
Absolutely.
But I know when we were in the blind, you were kind of talking about how you wanted to encourage more people with disabilities to get into archery. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that are disabled think that they can't do things, and that's just not the case. I mean, for me, the very first time I saw any archery after I went to the shop, I went down to the Olympic Training Center, and I can't think of the gentleman's name that has no arms, that shoots and he shoots for Hoyt. I saw that and I'm like, there is no excuse, period, for a disabled person not to do archery. And it is one of those challenging sports that teaches you a lot of things besides how to shoot an arrow. You know, patience.
Even how to handle frustration.
Absolutely,
you know?
because there's a lot of that.
Because there's those days where you're just like not shooting good, and it's easy to, you know, to maybe get upset and get mad and want to put the bow down. But no, it's like, let's think about how to rethink and get back on track, and then I'll put the bow down, you know. Like, so yeah, you're right. I mean, mentally it just teaches you so much.
And not getting out, you know, like for me, when I first started shooting, I was shooting every day, 80 arrows a day. You know, of course I was only drawing 18 pounds, you know, but
still.
And Bruce would tell me, you need to slow down, let those muscles rebuild, you know.
For sure. And I, it's funny, I have a lot of guys ask me, like, how often do I shoot? And there's times I won't shoot for 2-3 weeks, you know, and then I'll shoot every day for a while. And then I think it just based upon how you're shooting and how you're feeling should kind of dictate how much you're shooting. Obviously, when you're in the beginning stages, it's probably better to shoot more so you get that repetition and that muscle memory. Once you have that in place, then I think it switches more to when is the best time for me to shoot to improve 1 or 2%, you know, and like knowing when. But I think Bruce is dead on. I think a lot of guys do tend to overshoot, and you end up getting fatigued, and now your shooting's worse because your front arm's moving more.
Well, you create bad habits too, and if you don't know that you're creating a bad habit,
you just keep doing it.
And that's the good thing. Like for me, I have guys like yourself, guys like Bruce, Travis, you know, people that I can go to that have been doing this a long time.
True.
And help me correct my bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm in a chair, shooting the bow is the same.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that, you know, we're typically shooting standing and you're sitting, but I mean, as you know, I mean, I hunt a lot out of tree stands and blinds, so I'm out of a chair too. So you're right. So, you know, it's pretty much the same, other than you know, I can shift probably easier than you can, but
bit, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's mostly an upper body thing. So bad habits are bad habits for whoever, you know. And
one time I was in the shop, so the gentleman asked me, you know, how is it shooting sitting down? Is it difficult? And it really caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that, knowing that people sit down all the time to shoot, even kneel down to shoot.
Yeah. Or sometimes shoot sitting flat on your butt too, you know.
Right.
I've done that quite a few
I've
times.
seen that.
And it's funny too that it's a hilarious question also, because like you've never shot any other way.
Right. I don't know what it's like
you
to
have
stand
nothing
up
to
and shoot.
Yeah, you have nothing to compare it to,
Right.
so that is kind of funny. But yeah, shooting sitting down, shooting on your knees, that's the thing with hunting too, is like I said, I've shot sitting flat on my butt before. You just never know what the shot is going to call for, because hunting is so unpredictable.
Exactly.
You know?
Especially spot and stock.
Especially
right?
spot and stalk. But you know, even you could be in a tree stand and you're expecting the animal to come here, and now all of a sudden he comes in back here, and you're trying to figure out how to maybe draw around this tree. And so it's like hunting, that's what makes it beautiful, is the unpredictability.
Exactly.
And I'd say the same for archery. And I think one of the reasons that guys like us, who like a challenge and are competitive either with others or ourselves, enjoy the sport, is because no matter, you can get really good, but you cannot be perfect at it, ever.
Never. That's right. Yeah, you can try all you want, but you can't predict what the wind's going to do. You can't, too many variables
That's exactly right.
can just pop up on you, and that arrow doesn't go in the dot that you planned.
Yeah, it might hit a dot, but it's the one
Yeah.
up and to the right.
Right.
You know. So in your yard, you say you shoot to 20 to 60 basically.
Right.
In your yard. I'm curious, for you, when you're shooting at 20 yards versus 60 yards, how much larger is your 60-yard group than your 20-yard group?
I would say my 20-yard group is about the size of a softball.
So like this big?
Yeah,
Got it.
on average. At 60, it probably gets to the size of a little bit larger than a paper plate.
Okay.
And
So,
I'll have a few
like this?
that squirt off that,
Mhm.
you know, it's like, what the heck just happened? But
Yeah.
or you hear a sound that you don't want to hear. You know?
That's always the weirdest when you hear something, like, you know, and you're just like, what was that? Usually it's a fletch or something, but have you done Robin Hood yet?
Once.
Once.
One time.
20 yards?
Yes, I think
Nice.
I was 20, 25.
Did you keep it? Is it hung up in your house somewhere?
It's actually stuck in one of my hay bales
Oh, perfect.
outside. They're not together anymore
Yeah.
because the arrow that actually went into the other arrow was fine.
Oh, so
So
you
I
wanted
still
to use
shoot
it.
it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Your first, I always say, your first Robin Hood is cool. After that, they're just expensive and annoying.
That's right. That's right.
You know. So yeah, I usually don't shoot the same dot if I'm like 40 yards or closer. I won't shoot the same dot because I end up tearing fletches or Robin Hood, and then, like I said, it's fun once, then not so fun. But
Right.
what has been the most challenging part about getting into archery and hunting for you?
Well, especially in hunting, it's accessibility.
Mm.
You know, somebody like yourself can drive into the mountains and grab your gear and hike in wherever you want. Somebody like myself, first of all, I have to have a companion that can help me, carry my gear, set up the blind, things like that. And then I can't just get to spots.
Mm-hmm.
And disabled or handicap accessible equipment is extremely expensive.
Like, what does that chair cost that you're in right there?
This chair cost the insurance company $12 grand.
12 grand. Yeah. And I mean, that chair can go a lot of places, don't get me wrong, but you're right. I mean, can you go the same place that I can? Definitely not even anywhere close,
Not even in a truly off-road, like a track chair.
Exactly.
I still can't go necessarily where you go.
Like, I could go walk up this rocky hill right here, whereas like in that chair, maybe eventually you could find a way, but I mean, it's basically impossible.
Right.
So that's where you're saying, yeah, you got to have a companion, and you're somewhat limited in where you can go hunt, I guess you would say, right?
Right.
So I guess those would probably be the two most challenging aspects. But again, like you said earlier, that's not a reason not to do it. That's a reason just to make those little adaptations and get out there.
If there's a will to hunt, you're going to figure it out.
Heck yeah.
And one thing about archery that has really blown me away is the brotherhood in this sport. I mean, hunters love to help other hunters.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
Because you can't give away everything.
Yeah, right.
But the people that have come around me, yourself and so many other people, to make this happen for me has been incredible.
For sure. I mean, everyone wants to see other people, for the most part, be successful. That's not always true, but especially people that have an uphill battle more than others. People love to root for that guy, and that's why I say you're the most popular hunter in San Diego, which I know is odd to you, but
everybody needs to raise their standards on that.
Yes.
I'm a low standard.
Yeah, but no, man, it'll be friggin' really cool when you get it done, and hopefully we get a turkey in the next 2 weeks, man. I think we have a good shot. And today, I mean, if a tom would have come through, we would have been in a great position. It just didn't happen to come through. But I think in the next 2 weeks, hopefully you can put a rage in a gobbler. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
And I know you're ordering your own pop-up blind, so that's pretty cool.
It's on its way.
On its way. And anything else you kind of want to close with that you want to talk about before we wrap this thing up?
I think it doesn't matter whether you're disabled or not. If archery in any way intrigues you, give it a shot.
I agree.
It doesn't have. The cool thing about archery is I got into it with seriously the most basic, inexpensive bow.
Oh yeah.
Compound bow.
Yeah.
That you can get, and I had just as much fun shooting that bow as I have now with my Bowtech.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg.
Heck no.
There's places to go.
Yep.
That are in it. I mean,
it's a cheap sport to do. I mean, once
really
you have your bow and your arrows, and again, like I tell people all the time, like I'll see guys get into archery for 6 months, and then they go buy a $1,200 bow, and I'm like, dude, you were nowhere even near outperforming what that bow could do.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't need that high-end bow until you are an excellent shooter, and then it's just like bikes. Like, a great bike is only going to make a difference if you're an excellent rider. To someone that's not a good rider, it ain't going to make a difference.
Right.
And that's why I think, like, yeah, I mean, you see these price tags if you're trying to get into it. You're like, man, that bow's $1,200, but why don't you go on Craigslist and pick one up for $250?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's going to be fine. So I think that you hit the nail on the head with that. It is inexpensive if you don't force it to be expensive.
And the cool thing is too, is you really can shoot archery anywhere.
True.
You don't need 60 yards. You don't need 20 yards. You can shoot in your garage.
Exactly.
You could shoot in your house if you didn't, you know, if you weren't afraid about putting an arrow through your drywall.
Yeah.
But you can do that.
100%. And yeah, say you're shooting, like you said, say you're shooting in your garage or your house and you have a 7-yard shot, like the bow shot, 7-8 yard shot.
Right.
That is still great practice. You know why? Because you're getting that repetition, you're getting that muscle memory. And then when you are able to go outside and stretch out the distance further, now you have that form hopefully locked in, and then you can stretch it out. I mean, shooting arrows is shooting arrows, regardless if it's 5 yards or 264. It's still the same thing.
That's right.
You know, it's just about repeatability. And that's
still a challenge.
Oh, it's, dude, for sure a challenge. And that's a big word in archery too, is repeatability. Is so important. And is that one thing that's tougher for you, is to be exactly locked in each time? Because is that tougher?
Yeah, it is, just because of the change in my body. My body is in a constant state of decline because of my disease. So what I could do maybe 6 months ago, maybe I can't feel in a finger or fingers. So now my release feels different, you know. Little tiny things that we would never even think of, I feel.
And then you have to like
adjust,
yeah. I mean, archery is always about adjusting little things and consistency for everybody, but for you, the adjustment is probably ramped way up compared to what it is for me. Because like you said, you're constantly having changes, whereas like I pretty much feel the same every day. So that I could see how that would be tough, you know. How long have you been shooting now?
Just over 2 years.
2 years. And how much have you improved since when you first started to now? Is it like light years?
Night and day.
Wow.
Yeah, night and day. I mean, the funny thing is, the very first time I was in Bruce's shop, and Nick was helping me, and I drew back on the very first time, and I had my finger on the trigger. You know, he's like, reach out, and because I can't do like most people do, draw back, reach out. So I draw back, but as soon as I'm drawn back and anchored, I have to have my finger over my trigger.
Got it.
And that can be risky at times, right?
For sure.
Well, the very first time, I triggered off the arrow, and I didn't know it was happening. He goes, how'd that feel? I go, it scared me.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you don't want to know for certain.
Yeah.
Panic.
Yeah, you kind of want that surprise shot.
Right.
You know?
And now, knowing what I know, you know, I know when I expect the arrow to be shot.
Got it. So you have a little more connection now with your finger to the trigger, and you kind of can anticipate.
I've gotten used to that.
Got it. No, that's awesome, man. I mean, I was really pumped when you got into archery, and you know, obviously, like I said, we have known each other since I think like 2008. So it was cool when you got into archery, and I'm so stoked that you stuck with it, and now are, you know, a hunter, and you're in the field, and man.
What's funny is all these years we know each other, I never knew you shot archery at all.
Yeah, well, I've told this story a few times, but the reason that no one knew I hunted, really, I've been hunting since I was like 5 years old. I've been archery hunting forever. But when I was a bike rider, I wouldn't post any hunting photos or anything because I had like 8 paying sponsors, and I didn't want to offend somebody and potentially lose sponsors.
Right.
So unless you really knew me personally, you didn't really know I was a hunter because I didn't post it. And then when I stopped, when I quit bike riding, didn't have sponsors anymore, that's when I started to actually post stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like you said, a lot of people didn't know I was a hunter, but I've been a hunter forever. It's just crazy.
It's just it's awesome to be able to come into this sport knowing somebody.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
it's a big difference.
As nervous as I was, and then I found out that, you know, that you hunted, and that's the shop you used. It was like, oh, right on, you know.
yeah, anytime you know somebody that's used a product or a service or has done something before you, it's a little bit easier to know, like, okay, if I go there and, you know, James has told me that's a good shop and they'll take care of me, now you feel confident to go.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
and obviously, you know, you've had good experience with the bow shop, so if you're watching this and you're disabled or like Danny and you're curious about getting into archery, or you're not disabled like me, I mean, the bow shop is to me, the best shop in the county. So if you guys want to get into archery, definitely head to the shop. And yeah, I mean, thanks a lot, man, for coming on. People are going to enjoy it. Most famous hunter in San Diego right here, so this is a big deal. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we're going to have more turkey hunts coming, and hopefully one of this guy getting his first animal ever, because I think that would be amazing footage for you to have for the rest of your life to be able to watch. That would be a priceless moment. So
Gophers don't count as animals.
yeah, gopher. So. Yeah, first like big game animal or big. I got one this year of Matt. He got his first big game animal. I got it on film. It was a javelina. So hopefully we can do it again. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.